begin this process, I kept my eye out for a really knotty old tree that would be great to draw, and I found one at the lake that was not too far from my house. All the twisted branches and the wonderful textures on the bark. I went ahead and got it set up, including a nice comfortable lawn chair, as well as my GoPro and a nice something to drink. When you are starting, make sure you have your watercolor sketchbook, as well as your ink pen and a pencil and eraser. I took a nice long look at the tree, noticing the shadows, noticing the textures, as well as how the branches are connected, and maybe some things I want to simplify to make it easier for me to draw. I started drawing in pencil, creating an outline of the tree, making sure to include the branches, and knowing and observing how they taper out. I'm mainly concerned with getting the main shapes, as well as some of the major lines that might be in the bark of the tree. What is there about this tree that makes it unique from all the other trees that are around it? What is the pattern or the rhythm that the branches make? Those are the things I want to keep in mind as I'm drawing. Once I finished with my pencil drawing, I started with my micron pen. This is an 03. I'm just basically outlining the areas first, and then if I see any knots or major textures I want to include as I'm going along, I'm putting those in as well. As I'm drawing on the lines and looking at the tree, I'm definitely noticing the shadows and where the light source is coming from. And if there's not a definite light source, you really need to choose one side or the other to make it more of an impact. I'm also emphasizing around the bottom of where the branch and the main part of the tree come together, because that's going to be kind of a rounded contour line that comes around, that contour hatching we talked about in class. Most of the tree I decided to just do with hatching. Repeated hatching over and over again to create those shadows. To create the shadows, you're going to put them one right after the other fairly closely, again, not overlapping at first. The closer they are together, the darker the shadow is going to be. Sometimes when I was working on the tree, I just decided to draw some random lines. And that basically helped with some of the textures that are on the bark, because they weren't exactly straight, but they definitely had a bunch of texture. Another technique that's important for you to utilize on your tree is that contour curved line. It's like the hatching, but only it goes along with the contour of the tree. I used it where the branches meet the main part of the tree or the trunk, and I also used it on some of the branches that were farther up and that were more shadowed. Before I started painting, I mixed up a gray using burnt sienna and a little bit of cerulean blue. Now you wouldn't have to use those two colors, but you do want to start probably with a cooler gray color. I'm splattering it onto the paper because we're going to take these splatters. Not only does it add a nice texture, but we're going to use the splatters to paint with. Now that I've got the first group of splatters on my tree, I'm just taking a wet paintbrush. Now, not a really, really wet paintbrush. Wipe it off before you start doing this, almost just to be damp. And you're just going to start brushing over the top of your tree to kind of mix those colors together and make a nice base color, kind of an underpainting to put on the tree. I'm then taking some burnt sienna and I want to make that color warmer, make the tree a little bit warmer, and also to have a brown tone to it. So I paint that over some of the branches that didn't get very much paint the first time. It's really important to emphasize the shadows. So on this tree there's a warm side and then there's a cool side. The warm side would where the light source is hitting it, and then the cool side obviously is going to be where the shadows are. So taking that blue, and I am just going to brush it over some of those shadowed areas. I decided that I wanted a touch of green in the background, so I got some of the Viridian and mixed it up with a little bit of the gray. I'm going to splatter this in the background as well, because you can't have enough splatters, you know. In finishing up, there's a couple things I want you to notice. First of all, the paint is very transparent, so remember to use lots of water when you're mixing up your colors. And second, the paint does not cover up the wonderful detail created by your ink pen.